Rola Penchu Sangye Druparshu Chogdan Soki Chognam Ma Janchu Padu Dagni Kyapsuchi Dagi Chunyen Ki Pesonam Ki Rola Penchu Sangye Druparshu Chogdan Soki Chognam Ma Janchu Padu Dagni Kyapsuchi Dagi Chunyen Ki Pesonam Ki Rola Penchu Sangye Druparshu.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Yeshua.
It's a little chilly today. A little cold. Hello, good morning, little girl. Okay, anyway, we have good opportunity to study again today and about Dharma. It is a good opportunity, you know. Usually Buddhism says death, impermanence. We don't know when they're coming. Therefore, it's a good opportunity every day. Even we have not died last night and wake up this morning. I'm a very fortunate person. You know, sometimes people, when people sleep, there's no problem. But when they, in the morning, they cannot wake up. They really die or maybe sick or something. You know. Usually we think we are a very strong person, right? We are very strong. We have power, but you know, very easy. Tiny, in the conditions we got very weak. Therefore, we are not very strong. Anyway, usually very important to, when you do, you know, whatever activities, good motivation is very good. If you have real good motivation, then your all activities become good. If you have fake motivation, then the motivation, you know, the activities will not come very good. But usually, we think about all the time, all the sentient beings, benefit all the sentient beings. Therefore, I achieve all enlightenment, then I help all the beings. Because we say all the sentient beings, but we have no power to help, because we don't know what to do, what they want. Even if we doesn't know for ourselves, how can we help to others? Therefore, who, when, what kind of quality can help all the beings? Then when we achieve enlightenment, Buddhahood, then we can help. Because help is, you don't need to go all the time, go hold out your hand, take away, come back here, you know. Buddha helped for us. He wrote a lot of texts, you know. He really passed, he shows he really passed by that. He lived all the advice, he wrote the texts, he lived that. Because what is it? We need to abandon. What is we to cultivate our mind? Meditation, practice. What do we need our daily life? He wrote all the details on the 108 volumes in Kanjur. He wrote that. Then, after, you know, he had very big, he big prayers continue until, you know,
until the end of samsara.
아니 난도라 폐도 용이지. 다 개념다 상지가 쪼바다 근데 용어쇼 많이 되어요.
And also he has prayed, you know, for himself, you know, to manifest in a form of teachers or Buddhas that would be directly beneficial for us.
Terena Sanjay Tirimolo Betla Tene, Sanjay Shamashi, Yagate Hachi, Chendu Chonida, Dogger to change ashes, Yala, Mamma, Pella, Tucker of Mombo, and this was a Sayala took about another Chunyane, Ma, Nagi, your head.
So because of his prayers to benefit sentient beings around all the time in different forms, and therefore the many great teachers came in India, like the Two Excellence and the Six Ornaments, like the Nagarjuna, Asanga, and so forth. And also many teachers, great teachers came in Tibet, up to our own Lord Guru, who are the manifestation or embodiment of Buddha Shakyamuni.
What in the Sanjay not to Semjiness Malo Shinjin Chen, Karaka Goya, Chazon, have called it another Lobja Mason. Did you love that day? Sanjay Shamoshi was a tingle key, cut of Songo Sonso, Tanozoma, Lapsanagi Oi Paris.
So the Buddha has taught all these different teachings and given advices to benefit us. And even if he's not alive around in this world, but it manifests in many different forms. The representative of his bodies, his speech, and his mind in different forms.
Today, that's Tayo Ratin, not to Tandachi. Kaji, Roma, Moriwas, and not the Shingle rest.
And so because of his teachings and advices, now we know what are the things that we should cultivate and what are the things that we should abandon.
And being here, I choose to be a Nabi Lavja Magodan, but a Chulu Lavja Mako, Nella, she not Jacob two and the Roma, the Maroma, the Mato. And this Sosuchi, and Java Yava, the Yava, the Do Karinagi, Kola Yaka, Roma, and not much single Mares.
So before we met with the teachings of the Buddha, of course we know what is right and what is wrong about the laws of the country. In the country there's a law, and there are certain things that we are allowed to do and things that we're not allowed to do. We know about that, but we don't know what is right and what is wrong about the teachings, about what would be a right thing to do to have a good rebirth, and what would be a wrong thing to do that would prevent us from having good rebirth and so forth. So we don't know about that. So before you started to practice Dharma, did you know that the attachment, anger, and ignorance were bad? And have you ever been able to see it as a bad and then apply antidote to overcome it? So most of us, we just fall under their control. And so in most of the teachings of all these different religions, teach us that these three poisonous delusions like attachment, anger, ignorance are not good.
And then Mama Chag, the church of the things I know simply church or simply that's something.
And so most of the people think that these delusions in our mind are part of our mind. It's just a feature of our mind. And so the more we follow these delusions, the stronger they become in our mind. And the more we work against them, that much less powerful they become. So if these delusions decrease in our mind, then other positive mind like love, compassion, the altruistic attitude and so forth will increase in our mind. And so if these minds, these positive minds increase in our mind, in our continuum, then let alone ourselves, others, and even ourselves will be very happy. So if the person is happy and at peace, and then the people accompanying that person, or associating with that person will also be at peace and happy. if that happens, then there will be peace, in the neighborhood, in the country, and then in the whole world. So that's how we spread, the peacefulness.
Peace 나도 생각 파치가 처음 생각도 peace 못 보고 말했어.
So the peaceful, that should start from oneself, from one's mind. So it has to be generated, in our mind. It's not something that you get from outside.
그리고 나는 남주 출로래야 막 따마서 그게 저거 여기나 대강도 막이 파 출로 파 딱까지 가네 남주 나를 대해서 피스인데 대대와이나 남주 나를 놀아서 개말이다 출로라 간지 고마네 찍찍 봐 개개개 파 가려 말 피스 말고 와.
And so sometimes we tend to use these different methods for bringing peace by sending the troops into war and so forth. So yeah, you're avoiding that problem coming into here, but it doesn't mean that you're at peace.
근데 그 peace 할때 담보수수 샘피시오래 되는 거 제시오래.
And so that peace has to be generated first within one's mind. That is most important.
다 peace 수수는 샘도 간이 제거서나 아니 그디 임바이나야 나나 삼데 뜻이 좀 방어래서.
So how do we bring peace out in our mind? Is by minimizing that the selfishness, the mind or the I, and so the thought that thinks about I all the time.
맞아, 요다 망체 벌써 제적급주 고거대 나서들이 느끼고 그러잖아.
And so most of our problems, or we can say almost virtually every problem, comes from thinking, or grasping at that I.
그렇죠? 아니 간데 연구를 쓰고 나와 있나스. 내 삼바나지 나 이거 시 제마 소스는 양 고치사유래서.
And so how that happens is we become angry just by thinking that he or she didn't do just like I wished.
내 삼바데 따따 인간 놀면서 삼고래서 그디베나.
And most of the time, because of that, grasping at the I, we think that I'm right all the time. I'm never wrong.
그디베는 가서 소리 laptop도 와서 가서 소소 놀이나.
So most of the time, we're not able to say sorry, by seeing our mistakes.
소리 람부터 아니 나서 주친 거에 따라서.
And so not being able to say sorry, shows that we have very strong grasping at this I.
어떻게 이마다 나 삼데 뜻이 좀 따이나 아니 노담 뜻이 막 하나 뜻이 좀 그래서.
So if we start to have less grasping at this I, then there will be less problems. For example, if two people get into a fight, how do they start into fight?
내 수수 아이디어 트레이닝에 somebody 자기가 제일 먼저 하고 왔어.
So mostly it is because the other person doesn't follow your idea or your thoughts.
요다 맞아 데려왔어. 야만나 말을 내줘도 야만나 내 점사를 내줘도 야만나 내 빈자를 내줘도 야만나 내 자를 내줘도 야만나 내 조부통을 내줘도 그냥 살려고 왔어.
So it always comes to that I or my or mine and so forth, right? And so you become angry because the other person harmed me or harmed my friends or harmed my possessions, my neighborhood, my country, and so forth. So it all comes to that I or mine.
Right? He said, someone took my key, someone took my wallet. They always are coming, right? Therefore, we have to always put a lot of water for I. Then, 나도 저기 좀 보시죠. 나는 쓰는 데마다 나도 생각했어. 나도 저기 좀 보시죠. 말은 막 저기 다 무슨 병원 가게 나도 오는데 다 나와 지금 뉴스 그때 다 나슈인 거랬어. 다 오면 사실인 거야. 그때나 가서 또 되라고 해서 어제 뭐지.
So just like Lama Tsongkhapa said, we are trapped in this iron net of self-grasping ignorance. So that is thinking of the I all the time, and then because of that, then we're like wrapped in the darkness. So they say like the 29th day of the month, according to the Tibetan lunar calendar, is the darkest day. And so it's like that kind of darkness. We're wrapped inside that kind of darkness.
Maybe we don't find here, right? Which day we did not more dark, because we are all the time electricity lights. Yes. Anyway, today by the 아니 다 나서 주된 나 주지 마다 들으면 되었어. 나 같이 따오래. 나 그때는 나서 주지 뭐 용도 와도 라고 왔어.
So we always think of this I all the time. So how do we, minimize it, that thought, for grasping at that I?
그렇죠? 다 가져. 다 선제 던져. 나지 나라 대화도 기부 그와 나시 컨트롤 집바 직장 인식상 거 그래서.
And so one way of thinking is, to think that all sentient beings are same as myself in wanting to have happiness and not wanting any suffering.
그렇죠? 그다음 전에 쇼치는 나 머리바 마시비 제원 제와 나시 선제 제한 간가야? 고도티 제원 제를 해서 그래서.
And also, should think that just as I have fallen under the control of this ignorance, they have also fallen under the control of this ignorance.
근데 이제 슈로 슈처리 때와 연마이나 아니 수수지 나서가 다운도 치지만 때 맞춰로 배그래.
So if one is able to think in that way, then grasping at the I will decrease a little bit, in our mind.
그렇죠? 오다 근데로 지금 같이 다치다 삼다 삼다면 못 보이더라. 근데 갈래 가지네. 같이 다운서 나서 때 슈처 다운이나 내 차슈처로 타도 슈처로 컨트롤 슈처로 그래서.
And so there are many methods like that, to decrease and completely eliminate this self-grasping ignorance from our mind. So anyway, if we try even a little bit, to decrease that thought, then all other delusions will become less, by nature. All the attachment, the anger, the ignorance, and jealousy, all this will become less and less if we have less grasping at this I.
그렇죠? 공조도 자도도 세다는 나도 지는 그냥 제와나 나도 미코나 기본으로 잡을 되었어.
And so if the anger, hatred, or jealousy, manifests in our mind, then we will become unhappy. We cannot even fall asleep, right?
그래. 근데 이 말도 들수고 님이 아니 다 계속 좀 세워서 손주내가 가지고 나올 줄 봐. 지나라 마음속에 들어 딱 되고 이래서.
And so the disadvantage of the anger or hatred, is explained in detail by Shantideva in his Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life. I don't remember the 4th or 5th chapter. So we should study that to understand more about it.
어디들 간지 남의 주 재활 때네 아니 생각때 그 영화 조에는 남의 주제 펜토가 돼서.
So by studying Buddhism or practicing Buddhism, if your mind has become a little bit more, at peace and happy, then that's the result, the benefits, the benefits of practicing Dharma.
Okay. 어디들 혹시 다시 단어도 드리면 근데 단어도 나오는 바로 예수와.
And so that is just general, and now we're going to go into this actual teachings on lam-rim.
근데 다 나도 가서 단주 무좀 와서와 단주 무좀 무슨 잡아했어.
So last time we talked about the recognition, of the prophet and rebirth. So we have already kind of identified what is prophet and rebirth, right?
와 간주에서 해도 취시해봐라 코만 던진 사와들라 단주에서.
So the prophet and rebirth, is having all those leisures and endowments to practice the Dharma, having all these the facilities, all the favorable conditions to practice Dharma.
다 드린다고도 된처 삼고 그래서 된처.
So then we talked about a little bit about the great benefits of the optimum human rebirth.
아니 다 나도 단대에 미래에 도대체 뭐 싫어해 삼고 그러려고 그래. 그렇죠.
So it has a great benefits. The prophet human rebirth, the optimum human rebirth has a great benefits.
아니 내가 라테나야 내가 첨보를 다들 라테나야 내가 첨보를 아니 끼치 니만 삼고 내가 첨보를 내가 첨보를 더 그래.
So it has a great benefit in the short term and in the long term as well. And so it can also be very beneficial. Even every moment of it can be very beneficial.
Right? 다 되는 가도 다시 가는다. 사제도 술랑 막아 watch 나도 이때 나와야나. 나도 다 페미트 그래 처음에는 나도 네 미디 리테들 나도 제도 그랬습니다. 그렇지 뭐야.
So not let alone the achievement of enlightenment or liberation, and even the fames and names that we want to have in this life can be achieved through this optimum rebirth.
좋아. 아니 doctors, 아니 scholars 그래서 도저히 디탄 나도 단대기 리디들 제도 그랬어.
And so we can become great doctors or scholars in this life, through this perfect rebirth we have.
Also very famous singer. I think in the singing was very good voice, right? And very good dancing. And anyway, all the things kanga kanji 딱 나도 봐줘. 저 kanga 다 미래에 되는 거예요. 와서.
So this can be achieved through the human rebirth. Right?
와들이 다 대래 비셔왔다만 말한다. 다 10만 년수도 게임 막아가지고 제거나 다른 가서 밀리들을 제도를 했어.
And then, so what we have to strive to do is to make sure that we don't fall into low realms in our next life.
그리고 아니 제가 심한 다치고 공부하고 있는데 니들은 좀 도래 산재 공부하다 가는 니들은 좀 도래 했어.
And then even better than that, it would be to achieve the state of arhatship, or achieve full liberation from the samsara, or even achieve the highest state of enlightenment. And this can be all achieved through this perfect rebirth we have now.
근데 얘가 남바 간제 다티 relate 심각한 것들 설마 되는 성공을 했어.
So it is said that what we were in the past, you can check with your body, and what we're going to become in the future, you can check with your mind.
근데 얘가 남의 아니 개노를 뭐지 다티 밀리는 짓을 다티 개노를 뭐지 심하가 이양도 마다 와서 뭐 따라가야 되는 거예요.
And so there's advice, saying that because of the precious the monk in the past life, one was able to achieve this perfect rebirth, and this this precious monk please don't fall into the cliff of the low realms.
그래서 이제 제가 남한테 아니다 깔에 먹어도 소모 싸니 단단한 미리서 되는 거 토요래.
So that's because of our past life person, or there was a fully ordained monk or somebody who practiced very well in our previous life. Therefore, we are able to achieve this perfect rebirth that we have now.
배차라고 제가 무슨 롱업지 갑도와리라 담부터 깨다 첨보 차와이나 수가는데 로추 정어주로 가니 밑에 가지 깔리 잡 되는 저는 콜롱업주 가라까지 그래 좀 잡은 거 왔어.
So, for example, in this life, if the person becomes famous or successful in his life, like during like his 50s or 60s, then that is the result of his early part of life, right? Working hard, during when he was like 15 or 20 years old. Since then he worked very hard as a result, and then he becomes successful or famous during when he is like 50s or 60s. So whatever he had, the success and fame in the later part of his life is the result of the hard work that he engaged in during his early part of life, right?
다들 많이 마시 다 보고 론 유슈 가블라야 다 특별히 첫 보드 잡아리나 아니 뒤에제 가블라야 첫토시 지금 되올라다 고민 첫토 자성을 왔어.
And so if the person goes in the wrong way, becomes naughty, a bad person, when he is like 20 years old or 21 years old, then that is the result because he has been like that, when he was teenagers, right, 15, 16 years old.
배나 누가 친해질라나 아데 가시다 부 그런 쟁이지나 가는 제와나다 부 친해질 제거됐으면 관계 골로 담고
So like in this country, people just rely on them, right? So trust them to do whatever they want to do when they're teenagers.
네, this is I think is complete. 다 너무 조심을 해도 나왔나?
And so in my thought, that's I think it's a big mistake.
같이 또 도성에 대해서 가면 망한지 친해져가 배우도 왔어.
And so mostly the children or people who go into wrong path is during teenagers' time, right?
아니 뒤에 친해져 말이면 내가야 아니 밤에 찍다고 간도로 제도에 왔어.
So before they reach the teenagers time, the parents can control them, right?
아니 친해지는 밤에 다 왔다 친해져서 했어. 다 고도 서울에서 알았지. 그래서 어다 친해져 인대인데 고도 다 서울에서 강의를 다시 하는 것 같아. 빠른 농부래도.
And so then when they reach that age of the teenagers, then the parents also say, oh, they will do it. They will, do things by themselves. They will take care of themselves. And I think that is a mistake.
다 강가도마다 간제다 마체 빨라 저도 차로 되는 좀 더와도 차로 되었어.
So not everybody, but most of the people, they get into being a bad person or getting into bad behaviors is during that time, right?
그래서 나도 그 사자들 근데 저도 제가 사자들 여와도 되게 되거나 저도 마다 로 조지 조금 요시 더는 근데 가지고 저도 차로 도
And so because the person has followed that wrong path, of being bad or naughty, then when he's, he reached like 18, 19 or 20 years old, he still carry on that, and becomes a bad person.
어떻게 해서 지 나만 깔려 잡아라 때네 심하시면 되면 조명 그대로.
So whatever things that you did in the earlier part of time, then the result of that is experienced in the later part of the time.
그냥 내주도 가만 지금 지금 납돼야 돼요. 네. 다 제도 좀 가지. 루비시도 이제 깔려 잡힌 데라. 다 주도 지금 납돼야 지금 되는 다 라벨하고 이렇게 다 랍신 거에서.
So whatever I have been able to speak to you, teach you is the result of whatever studies that I have done over 20 years.
내가 계시 강사와도 되게 중소되는 말이에요. 되게 깔려 잡아서 되게 레벨이
So it's not something that I got it as soon as I became Geshe. It's the result of what the hard works that I put into.
그래서 남수가 남백의 아니 나만 저 심하시만 배우시니까 대시에 대해서 가만 로그를 저거.
So anyway, the earlier things that happen are the cause, and that's the later things that happen are the result.
뭐 된지 인자 아니 다 제와 심하디 야보 용도 마용 다 제서 무슨 급주 공항 가도 단데 나빠요. 그래서
so whatever kind of life that we're going to have in the future, I would say 95% of it depends in our hand in this life.
아니 네 갑라 야보 제와나 디제와 심하야 밀리토는 다바 대토바는 좀 심하 아니 야니야데 너무 차차토토로 그래서
And so if we do better in this life, then we can have a better rebirth in the future. And then during that time, as a result of doing good in this life, if we do good that life, then we will have, again, another optimum in rebirth in the following lives. So then we can become better and better that way.
그리고 아니 자세히 뭐 심하래 제와 된도 세반도 받아 같은데라 편만 말하네 신의 양다 저 갈아져서 다 제와 된도 된다. 내가 다도 빠는 인도도 내게 된 주명이 깨우지 세워도 내가 맞잖아 양주 신나 전에 깨까지 가셔야지 정말이지.
And so this is the life that we should work hard to achieve whatever we want to achieve, because if we don't work hard in this life to achieve liberation or enlightenment, then being able to achieve this kind of achieving enlightenment, liberation, is far away. Even achieving this kind of an optimum in rebirth where we can practice to achieve those results is very, very difficult.
아니 제일 뭐지가 너무 심나야 다세 네가 지 대두고 제 주보고 대체 주보가 내가 제대로나 아니 들어줘와 제가 찍바래 들어서 세대 대화 들어서 사야 답신 담다 제 가지 밑에 쳐려 그래 세대 나도 밑에 와도 들어줘와 찍바래 송해래.
So just like Lama Tsongkhapa said in his lam-rim, that if we only work hard to have good in this life, then there's not much difference from being born as animals. Because animals also can do things to have food and clothes and shelter and so forth for themselves.
Right? But we do, we always do that. Another the
And so most of us, we only think about the happiness of this life, right?
Right? Even the small mouse, small tiny mouse, my room, lot mouse there. When they go to my mandala, there are lot, rice. I don't know when they took one by one. They put up the mattresses. They are cleaning the mattresses. There are lot, rice is all there. How can God? Even they took my clothes. They're going to go down, up, I don't know how they do. They're hiding. They think about future. At least future maybe, future. Even they can do, they are their own method. Last couple years ago, there's some nuts. Well, my clothes, my drugs, I said, who put this nuts here? I didn't think about that. Yesterday, I found the mouse, they found some place, then they hide. They check here, they put there. Look like that, Together,
so it looks like they're preparing for their future in this life, right?
Right? We put some money to them. We say, okay, this is my future, right? It's the same exactly, Maybe, but so it's
a different way of doing it, but it's the same in thinking about this life, right? Thinking about this life at an old age or in the future in this life.
I think, animals, maybe horses, cows, sheep, maybe less type, less
Less greedy.
Good, right? They don't think about tomorrow. They don't sleep, right? They whatever they eat all the day, then they sleep. We people, it's okay. Next year, my retirement, and maybe that person maybe not stay retirement, but be very long-term retirement, or my grandchild. We can really think about the time or something it was.
So we think of in a far way.
And so bad. That's another. You know, she so
and we accumulate all this wealth and possessions, with miserliness.
Right. 이때 대치가 다 실로네 생체야 들어서는 뭐 제일 먼저 왔어요. 마부지요. 지만 사람들은 거기 배가지 되는 마부지도.
And most of the animals don't do that, but there are many animals also, who accumulate these things to use in the future.
어들이야 들리다. 다 대크시도 가라. 간지. 다 나도 세리 쭉 보면 마치가 있나? 아니 들었죠. 지바에 제가 말했어. 간지 송을 남은 줄도 송을 했어.
So anyway, if we only think about this life, then it is no different, from being born as animals. That's what's said in the lam-rim.
Right. Even maybe someone said, you are the same as animals, you are very good angry, right? Of course, right? Why I'm human being? What are you talking about? It means that they when they was and it's challenging. Send so
of course, it doesn't mean that we are exactly the same as animals in every ways, but just like in the same way as animals will think about themselves in this life for their future in this life. If we just want to then we are different from the animals in that way. And so we have this profit human rebirth with all these 8 leisures and 10 endowments. We should make good use of it.
And 제일 먼저 나타나는 들이 와서 안에 가래 다시 대시 잡아. 그럼 내가 생각하는 게 되겠다 말이야. 감각적이다가 맞아. 단저 대시 잡아. 대화지 하나 있던데 가때 단어도 이기면서 아니 감각적이다가 맞아. 거기 대화를 처음 하는데 이제 되는 데가 치즈 아니 이게 딱 이제부터 남기는 거 마시게 yap고 년송을 가지고 보죠.
So just like Lam Tsongkhapa said in his three principal aspects of the path, should not be attached to this cyclic existence. Make this profitable rebirth meaningful by practicing Dharma, and I will teach these methods. Please listen to it carefully. So this is what he said at the beginning when he was teaching the 3 principal aspects of the paths.
어디 되는데 딱 내가라 때니 간시 딱 몸을 덮고 다른 다도 되는데 딱 가서 몸으로 납사서 간시 내가 다도 걸려야 되는 간시 딱 미리 때는데 더 그래서
so it's a great benefit. It has a great benefit. The profit that we have now has a great benefit in terms of the short, and from the short-term point, and also from the ultimate point of view.
다 이바 가면 다시 다 서치대 배 이바 되면 다 돌아야 되는데
is where we stopped last time at the outline 112, 112. It's in page 276 if you have the blue cover. In the textbook.
다 타와지 주다 남라와 선들에서 나도 타와지 배가 타와서 다주는 공부해서 대토에 이제 조대 남 달라와서 냠네들에서.
And so the main cause to achieve liberation is the practice of the three high trainings.
와 안에 대수는 안에 주름질라와 띵이들이라고 시작이라고 선들에서.
And so those three are the trainings of ethics, morality, and the trainings of concentration and trainings of wisdom.
알아. 주름질라와 세대다 몇개 보면서 좀 대응하고 딱 맞춰 그래서.
So the trainings of the ethic or morality is the morality of abandoning 10 and virtuous actions.
아니 몇개 아니 송화 있나? 아니 딱 몇개 지식을 누파는 거 말고.
So if we observe the morality of abandoning the 10 and virtuous actions, then we will not create the 10 and virtuous actions, right?
되게 안에 트름 올라와서 간지 아주 샘 명목을 와도 말로 샘 송거를 해서 왔어. 송거.
So what morality does is protect us. So protect us from from engaging in the non-virtuous actions or falling the delusion.
So 아니 자와도 안에서라야 도마서 너무 송아지. 또 송아지 이거 아니 다 리마에서 샤바트는 쉬고 마치고 지는 간지 다 송되게 와서 대신에 누파를 했어.
So monks and nuns, they have many vows to observe, and that helps them in observing those vows and helps them, from prevent them, helps to prevent them from engaging in those non-virtuous actions.
나 트름새들 간지 송에 샘바 샘 막히고셔라 막동마다 송에 샘마처럼 다 트름새를 나쪽으로.
So the morality or ethic, means it's a mind that protects one from engaging in non-virtuous actions.
다 트름이라 와지. 되게 샘 싫어하는 아주 송아지. 띵기지라 와도 샘 얘라 뜻이네 저거 그래서 샘 얘라 뜻이네.
And the training of concentration, allows or helps us to concentrate, focus, or single pointedly on one object.
아니 샤르질라 와서 되게 강 샘내서 이게 아니 이거에서 가리 연도 많이 아니 대마도 좀 간 거라 째네. 근데 딸 가리 이게 이원적이 그래서 샤르질라 와서.
So and then the wisdom helps us to distinguish about the object that we're concentrating on, whether it is existence or non-existing, or whether it is truly existing or not, and so forth. So that way it finds the truth about the objects.
근데 이 바에서 시당 나와서 그냥인데 시당 터먹어야 감각이 그래서.
And so it is this practice of the three training is a common practice of both Buddhist and non-Buddhist teachings.
다 점주 선배기 점주 지라되면 강사가 지치들이 나와서면은 아니 딴 거는 남배기 나왔으면서 그래서.
And so this higher training, is called higher training because this is the training, the three trainings conjoined with the refuge, taking refuge in the three jewels, and so so that's only practiced by the Buddhist practitioners.
어디는 이마다 다니는데 와 대라 나와서 된 거게 대라 좀 숨겨라고 소득이도 맞다고 나 소득이도 맞는다는 걸 아주도 맞나 아니 당보께서 끊는데 문제라든 게 그래서.
And like it says here, in order to achieve liberation, you must cultivate the Dharma path for achieving it. That of the three high trainings, the first of which is ethics. Let us take the Pabongka vow as an example.
어들이 된지 도마데 가라다잖나 아니 내주고 선배 끊는 대라 때니 아니 도마데 내고 그래 마도 지금 제란 집바다 야나 제제 와듯이 같은데 도마데 내나 도마데 제가 말해 도마데 늘 말해.
So it says that you should take these vows because of the renunciation and through the renunciation. So you take these vows because you see all the sufferings in the psychist, and in order to free from that, then I'm going to take this vow. So this is the reason why you should take the vows, not because somebody threatened you, to take these vows. It says you take these vows, otherwise you're going to be killed and so forth. So it's not because of that reason.
Right. and Susu, Kodan and some of Duman and Jishi, Charlie, Telaya, that Tanti Lo Jenny, that Duman language.
And so this, the motivation for taking these vows should be the renunciation. The renunciation is the mind wanting to be free from cyclism by seeing the whole cycle existing in the nature of suffering, and you want to be free from that, and for that reason, and he says, I'm going to take these vows.
Or Tendrikan any get to Chipome, any vow, naturally, Kajita, Stumna, naturally, any Jabba, that she was. And it's Sanchez and Toma, out of Makanga,
so with that thought, then you can take all these vows, the Pratimoksha vows, the Tantric vows, the Bodhisattva vows, and so forth. So all this has to be on the basis of generating renunciation in your mind. And so these kind of vows can be only developed in the mind streams of human beings, and therefore, again, another reason to see how much great significance it has in this perfect So in order to develop these vows, you have to have renunciation. And so because renunciation cannot be developed in other beings' mind, like the animals and so forth, therefore they cannot develop those vows. And so it says you must cultivate renunciation in order to develop these vows in your mind, but it is difficult to develop things like renunciation in other migration states, for example, as the gods and so on, and therefore it is difficult to have or develop those vows in their mind states. And so even as in human beings, there are 4 continents, right? The southern, the northern, the eastern, and the western continents. And the people or human beings, of the northern continent, it says the inhabitants, of the Kuru, the northern continent, are not suitable candidates for these vows. And of the human on the other 3 continents, those on Jambudeva, the southern continent, are the best candidates. So because the people in the northern continent cannot develop that renunciation in their mind stream, therefore they cannot develop or generate the vows in their mind streams. And so also because of that reason, it is more powerful on the human rebirth to develop bodhicitta vows. And so therefore it says in the letter to a disciple, the human achieve strong bodhicitta, the gods and nagas do not achieve this on the path, neither do demigods, buddhas, knowledge bearers, or pattern spirits and so forth. And also it says the same applies to the vows of the secret mantra, and because in order to have that, you have to have renunciation, and renunciation can be only generated on the human life, human rebirth. Therefore, the tantric vows, is only possible to take on human rebirth. And it says that even beginners in this sort of rebirth can, through the secret tantric path, become enlightened in one lifetime and in one body. This is because one must karmically possess the 6 physical constituents and be born from the womb of a human of the southern continent.
아니 다 대한 내지 사람 잠들이 뭔가 시작할 라자지 물음지에 집이가 아니 대화신지 상식서 만남지요. 잠을 받게 와서 문데 경우에서
and then so that's we have since we have received such a rebirth, and even like the bodhisattvas born in the Pure Land will pray to be born as such kind of human being, like having possessing the six physical conscience and born from womb of the human of the southern continent. They will wish to be born like that, born as such kind of human being in order to be able to practice tantra and so forth.
어디다 어디다 맞았다 된데다 딱 만주 소소 만지면 맞도 딱 대응하서 이번 내려 바꿔 있다니요 말해서.
So it's just that we are not capable from our side. Otherwise, there's no better river than what we have now to achieve liberation or enlightenment.
아니 가시가 너무 근데 번져서 딱 넘어가도 배를 수도 들어가. 아니 저를 놓치고 빙문하래요. 너무 근데 번져서 때라 빙문 것도 있나? 주선 던져 버리는데 딱 그러고 그래서 라소에 그래서.
So there's a story here again. It says the Shakyamuni statue in Lhasa Cathedral is supposed to have a wish-granting jewel and it is niece. And some people circumambulate the statue and say, may I achieve whatever I pray for and so forth.
딱 나도 좋아해. 간제 너무 근데 딱 전부 만나면 왔냐. 가시가 낸 것이 가시가 때문에 녀다와나 가시 심한 내수는 좋아. 아니 제대로 말했어. 너무 뭐하지?
And said they make such a prayers. If you had many hundreds or thousands of wish-granting gems and turned some of them into cushions and some into a pillow and sat on them, they will not have you to stay out of the lower realms when you die.
Can we do this? So, close and cushion. It's not available. At the pay, can you tend to go in a young? And no tend to go in a Damado. Peshamatana, can you tell Shubakan or Pedro Maris from the door?
So these precious gems or jewels, even though they are very, very precious and very, very powerful, but they will not be able to help us to prevent being born in the lower realms.
But we don't have cushion done. We got to the path, that jewels and human or your mother to the year. We have some jewels, some diamonds, something we little scared. We have diamonds and we scared to someone to come to, still. You have to put the boss, big lock, put some, saving some place. We love that we not,
So we don't dare to keep it even with us, right? Thinking that it's going to be stolen or robbed and so forth. And so sometimes the external conditions or facilities can even cause our lives. Right?
And 나게 유한테 라와서니 냐면 샴니제게 로저티 가진 토나 나서 소마 마타나서 다 같은 암지를 말해.
Whereas the inner possession, of this knowledge, of love, compassion, and so forth, will never cause any harm to us. It will only protect us and bring good things to us. It will never bring any bad things. So you understand what we're talking about here, right?
네 단단한 미리 때 야부토게 된다. 데이터 배치하고 땅고 그래서 상당히 그래서.
So what it's saying is that we have achieved this optimum human rebirth, which is extremely difficult to achieve. Therefore, while we have it, we should make a good use of it.
내 체대 주부 체대 배치한다 봐야나. 아니 봐주죠. 집안에서 송도와서.
So if we use it only for this life, then it's no difference from being born as a cow.
그렇죠. 대체해서 저도 나도 제일부터 나가면 되나. 나도 다 제선발에 제지 마이를 간지 다 삼치고 그래서.
I'm not saying that you don't do it, but it's just saying like there's a lot to do, so we should all make good use of it.
가시 나도 이제 나도 밀리데 내가 자 전부에 봤으면 더나 아니 때 배치하고 딴 거로 와서.
And of course, we have to think about how precious it is, how valuable it is, and so forth. If we think about that, then we will think of making good use of it, right?
And pana nobleza 사자는 그런데 노블치는 많이 와서 발론으로 집발해서 나도 경험하고 말하려나.
So if we don't make a good use of it by practicing dharma, then it is same as somebody going to fetch jewels And when he got to the place, he didn't collect anything, and he just returned empty-handed. It's just like that.
This example is most in India. Maybe India not the jewels. You know they're not jewels? Some place? Jewels, yeah. Yeah, noble.
It's called wish-fulfilling jewels.
In India there? Maybe we can go there.
They sell, I don't know how far it's true, but they pretend to sell it.
Yeah. They can Sanji Shashu have the bed in the king or us.
So, this is the example they used during the time of the Buddha. So that is kind of a jewel which can fulfill all your wishes if you have it with you. And so they gave this example.
Today that then the tension more. Do you not time? Nimachilla Pimbi Novada, Malo Japan Novita, Malo Japan by the kitchen was. Today that tell the chubu sometime, but that don't
so if there is such kind of wish-fulfilling jewel which can only fulfill the wishes of this life, and this profitable river that we have now, is similar to that, through which we can fulfill all the wishes of not only this life but next future lives, up to all the way up to enlightenment. And then of course we'll choose the one that can fulfill all the wishes of the next lives, future lives, all the way up to enlightenment, right? And so while we have that, we should make good use of it.
And just a matter of said down. And I'm very cheap, but you just a matter of saying, I'm not chilling to one, not too much in the heart of it. And just a matter of down. And lead Jabuni Chava country, and I lead Jabu Ponton and Noggin on the new days. And just a matter of somebody side and just a matter of figure, Tower Sanjay was magic over toast and body. Lead Jabu said, and so we take out so much about that, than the leader is. That's better for us.
So it says here, each of us has received the same rebirth as Milarepa. So the same kind of life that Milarepa has had, is what we have now, except that we do not practice the Dharma. He practiced, we didn't practice. So no qualitative distinctions can be drawn between Milarepa's rebirth and ours. For example, since we can understand that there is a difference between Milarepa and the King of Nagas. The King of Nagas has piles of wish-granting gems in his hoard, and wears jewel ornaments on his head and so on. But he was not even able to close the gates to the lower realms, let alone reach enlightenment. Milarepa was so poor that he did not even have barley flour to eat, but he had received this precious optimum in rebirth, and so was enlightened in that very lifetime.
어떻게 다 나마도 뒤틀리더니 아니 요즘 다 냠는 추야부 맞아봐 있나 아니 방고지야 셀 고마가라니 배치는 마다 집어야 되죠.
So if we, while having this prophet and rebirth, if we don't use it to practice Dharma, then it's the same as a beggar who is living on a crab, having a big piece of gold and not using it at all.
Right. And everybody says, oh, this is a very dumb person, right? He has this much gold and he doesn't use it, and he very poor. Then he says, why he doesn't sell it? Because he doesn't know how to sell it. Same as that. And
the same as that. So if we, while we have this prophet and rebirth, if we don't make a good use of it, it's the same. Will be as dumb as that beggar, who has a gold and not used it.
what 다들 나스마 끼치릴라 되지마다 대니 ță 배철 모사야 니마르레 까마르레 하나 두 까칭 말이체 저와 도면에 맞아 소소로 저와 있나 아니 딱 배도시 모셔라래.
And then thinking briefly about how even every moment of it can be most beneficial. And so during this time, when we have this prophet and rebirth, if we engage in Dharma practice, then every moment of that practice can become very beneficial. Like even offering one stick of incense with the thought to achieve enlightenment and so forth, can be of great benefit.
And then 부강지 파티테 타면 또 개발되는 데와 야나 체제들이 가마가 가마 주장하는 가지 내가 친구를 그랬어요.
So we can achieve great things just by making that offering of one stick of incense. Or if we practice Dharma, during like 1 hour time or 1 minute or even a few seconds, during that time it can be of very great benefit.
근데 인바인자 만조치다 의사 가도 이제 초라다 볼라서는 아주 배트서 방법을 해서 대략 방법 수술 메시지 초라도 와도 막 받다 너로 쳔보래 근데 다 메시지 통제 맞고 쳔
So he says that we regret for losing our wealth, the money and the wealth and so forth, but we don't regret at all about losing or wasting our profitable rebirth. So that's a big mistake.
내 배가는 저도 we even go to the cities, we get 25 ticket, right? Yes. They give me ticket, right? That's the same
So when we get tickets for violating, driving, so parking and so forth, we get a ticket and we become very unhappy, even if it's just $25 ticket, right?
실제로 상황도 내가 25 첨부에다 얘나야 다들 나고 내 빼대래 가지 데리러와도 방송 쇼쇼도 왔나 수술 몇년 돌아오는 건 방송 책임은 대노를 해서
and so we regret a lot for getting that ticket, but we don't regret for wasting our profitable rebirth. So that is a mistake.
다들 스페셜 투슬랑이 근데 이제 가지 뒤져 좋아하나 가마치 가만히 세겐치 최저치 니 가지 냠렌치 수술 생각하고 제거를 되게 정말했어.
So it says that it's a mistake not to regret wasting our optimum rebirth, and yet to regret wasting 1 or 2 silver coins. So it's similar to that like that. So we should not waste our profitable rebirth, making every moment of it a great use.
그래서 단단하고 다 직선다나 내 맛이 lab다야 돼. 서로 마다나 저 거야요 말했어. 내가 두고 말했어.
So if we think, really contemplate it, that it will make sense what it says here, but if not, then it doesn't make sense to us.
예. 어디 서로 다다. 다 실로 근데 실로기야. 마우스 카메라나 그 마우스도 완전히 그 sem시에 붙지 말했어.
So if we really think about it, then ourselves and the mouse in this house are same being, same being, right? Sentient being.
근데 대주 마스도 소소 단 소소 가디시하고 나가지고 소소 마시 발라지 소소 사야단 통하야단 소소 대단 고탈지 너되게 와서.
So because even the mouse also will work hard to look for food. And to make itself live a life, right?
아니 소소 보고서 약간 제게 그랬어.
And it gave birth to its children, little ones, not little mice, and then look after it, raise it, and so forth, right?
그래서 딱 나도 간지 나도 탑시 맞아 그러는데 나도 집 가서 거기서 소유해요. 나도 대낮이 세대 주보 지 저는 뭐 마타와에 나다 거기서 집 발에서 딱 나도 소유해요.
And so, if we live in the same way as them, then that's no difference from them. So so we should understand that how valuable this is and make good use of it.
근데 이제 대단 몸은 이걸 접토에다 다들 접고를 다는 좋아 마당하세요.
So because we can achieve so many things through this profitable rebirth, so therefore don't waste it just for small things.
근데 섬는 양이 대 몸보 양이 로고 하는 건 저는 아무리 인사를 삼점에 다 지금 섬을 말하나 그 내가 어떻게 공부를 왔어.
So if we think about it again and again, then it will make sense, and then will help us to think about making good use of this profitable rebirth. If not, then there's nothing we can achieve from this.
아니 사실 좀 내내 제가 태베 람대시 타와 라라라가 시버치 아니 람처럼 땡요 다 저런 제거 당하고 나요.
So Buddha Shakyamuni said, I have shown you the path to liberation, but liberation depends totally in your hand. So we should understand that. We have to work ourselves hard to achieve liberation.
이나 단 넘버 소문에 야부시라 되어서 가지다 야 제가 동안 타요 말했어요. 교수님은 소소를 되죠 말에 내가 요리 아니면 되죠 당신도 되나요? 인들이 제대 야부시라 됐어. 이나가 야야 예제 당하나 다치는 거 많이 말이지.
So of course, you do very well, making all this time to listen to the teachings, practice Dharma, and so forth. And this is very good, but there's no end to the goodness, right? Until we achieve full enlightenment, and therefore we should keep on doing, even better and better.
Okay. Okay, 다 들리려고 이제 되는 것도 되셔.
So about that, and that's about it for this time, and we'll stop here for today.
Then you have any questions?
Any questions?
I was wondering what they mean by the inhabitants of Kuru, the northern continent, and why they're not suitable candidates for the vow.
No balance with the middle, and the Sokajane, the Yamas, Church, I call Kajamas.
돈도를
The Nobel Shumate is a Karinas.
고도를 민주제도 말이야. 고가는 민주제도 가셔는 강에 이용해 아니 고도도 고도 돌고 말했어. 가셔는 양식 추가 자세 좀 다 님보로 말 거기다 고고 말했어. 냥 말, 고고 다 때문에 감시.
So the inhabitants, the people, like the human beings, of that continent, they're not able to develop the vow because they're not able to develop renunciation. So in order to have the vow, they have to have the renunciation. So renunciation is a thought of wanting to be free from cyclic existence, because you see the whole cyclic existence in the nature of suffering. So no matter where I'm born, what I do, it's always suffering. So I have to be free from that. I must free myself from that. So that thought is called renunciation. So in order to have that thought, you have to see the suffering. So the beings there don't have to work hard. They have everything, whatever they want, just comes up to them. So they don't really feel any suffering there. They don't see the suffering. So if they don't see the suffering, then they will not have that thought wanting to be free from the suffering. And so that's why they don't have the renunciation. That's why they don't have that's why they're not suitable to develop those vows.
아니 가셔는 추가 자세는 고요 말했어.
And of course, many of them don't even hear the word of Dharma.
그러니까 그러나 또 선제수술 야왕이 아니 대체로 선제들가 약간 준비가 가까워 또요 말했어.
And so beings who are born there don't have that opportunity to listen to the teachings.
아니 들리다 나도 들릴 가야 맞겠다. 아니 주 년제요와 소소 출력 가오요와 아니 소중 고백이 님이 신거요와 나도 도도 감각 타와 봤어.
And so whereas the people, like ourselves, we are said that we're in the southern continent, the Jambudeva. So that's where we are. And then people or human beings of that continent, and have all those opportunities to listen to the teachings and have to develop renunciation and so forth.
집발로 빼나 집발로 먼저 들릴때라 간절히 내주제도 말아 들릴때라.
Same on the animal realm. So the animals will not be able to generate renunciation.
들려도 와 이 가시는 선제 공조 내주세요 공조 가시. 고난이 있다 저로. 왕보 리모 대전에 가지 다 제도 신경 말이죠. 일단 지금 한번 먹고 상대했어.
So there are many other realms also, like the god realms and so forth, because of their, the state they are in, because they are very happy all the time, or because of some missing physical conditions, in other places, they are not able to develop these renunciations.
어떤 데 가시 아주 주 들어와서 수중으로 출연 매가 여봐. 주시사 사자 여봐 가서 다와진 조가치서 이마도 지금 뭔가 드셨다. 참 상하고요.
And so you should have all these favorable conditions to practice Dharma, like the 8 leisure, 10 endowments, and so forth, in order to have these thoughts of renunciation and so forth.
Okay?
So they don't mean human beings, they mean like other beings in those continents. That's what's kind of throwing me off the thought. It's the humans in the northern continent.
Sorry, you mean, is there other human beings in other continents?
No, do they mean like human beings or other beings in those continents?
힘도 되었어.
They're human beings.
Same
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are human beings also.
대단한 것도 랍다는 거 미자자가 들어.
Yeah, so we are talking about human
미나
beings.
랍.
Marta contra the links that the mirror kind of hard.
미리. human beings. Same here. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Geshe, what do they mean by continents?
Links the concept.
이게 사자들.
Place.
Okay, good. So the,
샤로 너시한테 시거든.
The place, the place in the east, place in the west.
so like southern continent, what do they mean? Just our planet or our solar system?
Then also the Thubten kind of the Zambulun the He was that the Panali within the subject.
아니, 다 아주 전시라 시와이나. 아니, 리적으로 이렇게 아니 호술라 있는 데가 혼자 되다 그랬어.
So according to the Abhidhamma Kosha, by Vasubandhu, it says that there's this universal system, which has a Mount Meru in the middle, and then there are 4 continents on each, 4 directions of the Mount Meru. And so the continent in the front and the south is called the southern continent, and it's called Zambudeva, and that's the world where we live in.
대래 신지적 대식을 로마대 쪽으로 사는 잠스케냐 대전이 담을 혼자를
So there's this tree in that in the continent, and a fruit or leaf fell from that tree into a water, and then it made a sound of zum, and that's how it becomes zum.
내가 호쇼인다 잠스케냐 잠을
So that's how it is explained in the Abhidhamma Kosha.
가지니서는 사자는
Anyways, the continent is a place, like a world.
So if we apply that to like modern science now, would it be safe to say other planets maybe?
단단한 저기 가서 체력 등급의 체력 쓰지나 뭔가 가서 야사션은 자물링신 다시 하나 리라스.
야사를 마시
자물링신 다시 가서
사실 마시
링신 다. Yeah, I think so. We can maybe say different planet.
I actually have one more question. When they've made like this, I don't know if discoveries, but you talk about like even extraterrestrials or alien life forces. Would that be, what type of existence is that? Like it's said to have the intelligence of a human being or even more. Would that be considered a human existence because it falls in the category of having the ability to speak and understand? Or would they be considered animals?
자물링 미션 that's the aliens 자물링 생기 미드서로. 근데 소리는 나도 그 이과장하고 개발한 세력 터널에 다 지금 투자하는 어떤 그 약적 실친들 그래 묻어서. 근데 소 미래에서 가서
미리 강한
Yeah, you can consider that as a human beings.
If they have that intelligence,
Yeah.
so they don't actually have that human body, right?
말이 이거지. 그냥 먼저 다와진 좋아지던 미리 되고 말이지. 미리 이거지.
Yes, you can have a similar kind of body as a human beings, with like the body, the hands, and all these things. But it's just the only difference is that don't have that leisure or endowments. So that's the only difference.
I wasn't talking about perfect human, just human in general, just human realm.
Yes. So they also can, I mean, we can think like that, but I don't know exactly what's a human being or not. Nobody can say that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Geshe.
Then maybe scientists will go to war, they can see. So, somebody show a tag down now. Link show a tag down. Link show a tag down. Link show a tag down. Link mob show is.
그래 좀 target는
어떻게?
어떻게 좀
자신의 것이 tag down. 뭐 가지 다 뒤로 하나 모브 show. 진짜 돈 트럼 좀 show.
저기라.
show tag down.
Well, they say that there's the world system, there are like 80,000 world system, so it's similar to this. So there are many other world systems, planets.
Okay.
Thank you, Geshe.
Okay, thank you everybody. Now we are going to prepare it's only coming to this. Only now almost 2 weeks, right? We have to lots to do that. You see, they're working very hard. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Geshe.
Finish.
The Thanksgiving mandala on page 39. Saji kuki jikshing me tokran, viva minji ni de padi, sangye jindu mikte uwaki, drokun nanda jing la parshu. Jetsun lame kutera tenchin, namkar twinle chokchur ge padam, lo san kwenke drone me sasungi, drowe nun sel taktu nek yuchi. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. Jade Tsongkhapa's final lam-rim.